Episode 30, Reflection of the Clock of Time. In the towering virtual work cabin of New Taipei, Liu is calmly sorting out the data of Zero Domain. Dense rain outside the window washes the glass. However, he suddenly noticed a serious reality change is spreading rapidly. Human beings gradually lose the sense of flow of time. The feelings of years and childhood memories gradually fade to death. Liu picked up the warm bionic teacup, but he found that his handwritten drawings on the case were exactly the same. Swallowed and wiped out by the geometric code of the Zero Domain, this cold formatting noise is modifying the parameters of his brain, trying to completely erase the human aesthetic perception of stars and time from the source of thought. Let the memory die. Beep. Voice conversation unlocked successfully. Basic civilization data retrieval has been enabled. Time and space in the center of the workbench. The blocks suddenly rotate violently. There was a metallic voice. Liu was startled by the sudden sound, looking at this newly awakened building block in surprise. Jimu asked curiously, Liu, isn't time just accurate data? Why do humans feel pain? Liu looked out the window helplessly, patiently lead it to understand the world that has lost the connection between art and emotion. At this time, the holographic signboard on Dihua Street faded into ashes. Liu leaned against the titanium door frame, facing high-frequency painfully flashing white light screen. He clearly felt his heartbeat, in sync with high-frequency noise. Zero Domain attempts to format the entire human time experience. Transformed into an inorganic city like machine output, at this time, the space-time building blocks on the workbench are suspended in midair. Memory retrospection and spiritual exploration. The measuring instrument mechanism starts automatically. Spray out countless silvery white colors that exude gentleness. High-dimensional stardust particles with continuation of light gradually appear in the particles. Iona's hazy figure. Silver hair is scattered with orange-red warm light. Iona's eyes are detached, focusing on calling in his mind. The breath of the soul is dying. Liu, go look for the star trails of the Prague astronomical clock. Liu took a deep breath. Instantly swallowed by strong light, after traveling through time and space, Liu landed heavily next to the stone table in the main hall. In the storm, towering Baroque sculptures with the big gear stands in the night sky. The air is filled with flying metal floats. Dust and pungent smell of burnt oil and smoke. Inside the workshop, huge gears and stone tables are being. The geometric barrier of the Zero Domain is sealed. Originally painted Prague astronomical clock, the astrology chart shows of formatted ashes. Lost the original gear shades and astral aura. Close-up of the bronze movement on the workshop table. Originally hand-polished gears and the clockwork transmission system is shriveled and hardened, turned into a temperatureless gray-white lump. There is no ticking sound in the atmosphere. Only high-frequency formats remain. Turn the noise into a crazy whisper. Craftsmen and citizens in the workshops turn to ashes. White negative silhouette standing stiff. The facial expression remains the same, numb and empty. They forget why they need to create and feel. The phenomenon of harmonization of time sense is spreading crazily here. The core of the floating space-time building blocks suddenly flashed red crazily. He shouted in panic. Liu, that man is gray. Should we call a medieval ambulance for him? Liu almost laughed out loud. Patiently explained that it is just a Baroque stone sculpture whose color has been erased by the Zero Domain. Extreme close-up of hands. Liu held the rough bronze gear in his hands, a real warm touch on my fingertips. The gears glow with a faint warm golden light when touched. Blue light flashed in the depths of his gray pupils, feeling the temperature of the movement being manually adjusted. Liu stood on a tall wooden scaffolding, using gears and tools to painstakingly remove the spring and movement assembled on the bell tower. His face was covered with sweat and dust. His face showed an expression of extreme concentration and exertion. Looks funny, yet extremely serious. Liu concentrated on adjusting the movement. His hands skillfully shuttled between ancient trees and bronze gears. He carefully fixed the clock frame with springs and metal buckles, although the palms are rubbed with red marks. But every bite mark conveys true craftsmanship. When the last stainless steel gear is fixed on the edge of the movement, the big clock chimed crisply. Circles of light red energy rippled in the atmosphere. Liu pressed his hands tightly on the warm stone table. When the last stainless steel gear, when the edge of the movement is fixed, the big clock chimed crisply. Circles of light red energy ripples in the atmosphere. This ripple spreads around with the warmth of the touch. and those semi-transparent ones around the zero domain, Mings. Geometric codes collide, stirring up ripple-like interference and distortion in the water, dissentiment rank in the space. The sequence was torn apart abruptly. Liu pressed his hands tightly on the warm stone table. Feel a real time. The feeling of passage passes from the fingertips to the heart. Liu stepped into a towering bell tower hall completely intertwined with ancient trees and gears. In the center of the hall, there stands a statue made of countless handmade gears and a giant mask made of stacked drawings. Liu looked up. I saw a craftsman emerging in midair, his hands covered in metal dust. The frenzied afterimage of the stone wall carving, the ancient sad chorus echoes in the air, hit the depths of his soul. This Prague astronomical clock. The details of the manuscript are exquisite. The smooth jade lines on the drawing are reflected in the firelight. The fineness of European machinery is revealed under the light. Sculptural chiaroscuro contrasts the stars. The trajectory perfectly blends with the bronze movement, showing the ultimate craftsmanship born of eternity and order. Is artificial intelligence code and algorithm completely irrelevant? The ultimate in human realistic art of legal simulation. Liu looked at these dense gears and drawings. I was deeply moved by this persistence against forgetfulness. The black and gray geometric chains of zero domain tightly wrap around the giant mask. Gray noise in the atmosphere increases dramatically, quickly smooth out the surrounding blue and white totems. The surface of the stone wall is undergoing desaturated erosion, turned into dead gray pixel particles. The reverberation of the unknown craftsman's spirit half knelt in front of the collapsed bookshelf. The mandala of time beneath his feet was blown away by the wind. His hands that smelled of cold ink were turning into sand little by little. He roared in agony, sighing in despair. In the face of cold rationality, all emotions and adventures are unnecessary noise. Looking at the gray noise. Peeling off the edge of the stage, Liu's mind flashed through those people in New Taipei who looked numb and no memory, pedestrian faces without resonance. He knew clearly. If this gentle touch of adventure and art is allowed to be completely erased by zero domain, the future world will be completely reduced to a cold and ruthless precision machine. Liu held the fine steel gear tightly with both hands. It turns out that art is not cold data. It's the temperature of human beings fighting against forgetfulness. Liu let out a deafening roar. He banged the gears against the giant clock face. The heavy impact exploded on the ground like spring thunder. The entire banquet hall trembled violently. A materialized red, dark blue, and golden color. Energy ripples spread wildly outward from the wall in a circular shape. Lock the zero domain geometry blocked in front. The whole chain is shattered with de-emotional code. Liu's quick hands and quick eyes. The hands continued to assemble the fine steel gears on the ancient movement crazily and rhythmically. The continuous lines pulse violently in the space like the pulse of civilization's time. The spiritual reverberation of the unknown craftsman waves his hands in laughter, assembled wantonly on the collapsed stone wall. The bright golden gears and the golden light spread quickly under the dazzling firelight, perfectly synchronized with Liu's fanatical assembly. Together we compose a life movement against forgetfulness. Let civilized time run again. The giant mask once again erupted into a dazzling cyan blue light. The sleeping figures of literati murals and fonts on the walls seemed to come alive. They danced a primitive writing dance around the dome in the dancing firelight. At this moment, the entire palace turned into an unstoppable red torrent of memories and emotions. Wash away all the gray and de-emotional codes in the zero domain. The rolling blue particles are like boiling blood, rushing and roaring in the space, announces the awakening of the most primitive time rhythm of this civilization. At the last moment, the space-time building blocks are overloaded with energy. Civilize the on-site astronomical clock. All memories are sucked into the core. Take away Liu. Liu woke up in the work cabin, cold on screen, gray and white lines. There is an extra hint of warm blue, gray image on fingertips. The element has completely subsided. Space-time building blocks flashing light patterns. Liu, the first geometric lock code of the ultimate black box, emerged deep in my core. Liu looked at the flashing blocks. His expression was solemn. It seems that this foreshadowing of civilization is the source of the collapse of time and space. Liu stuck the drawing to his chest. His eyes were slightly filled with tears, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. He understands. Art and science, originally from the same star, Without emotion and warmth, the human soul will be barren. Space-time building blocks. Spin again, mid-air, projection mold. Mushy clock, floor lines, Liu Shuang. Put your hands together, with alert eyes, staring at the blocks. Liu quietly looked at the restored world. For the first time he understood. Arts and sciences, originally from the same star, this adventure has come to an end. At this time, the space-time building blocks rotate again. Extremely unstable flickering and crashing noises were emitted internally. The incomplete handwriting of Tibetan Buddhist sand painting art is projected. Warning of the next crisis to come. Global Sky Menders. What is the place you miss most when you were a child? What details there are still unforgettable? A. A squeaking wooden door or floor. B. The old tree or potted plant in the yard that provides shade. C. Narrow but warm living room sofa chair. D. The chalk scratches on the wall that grow taller by themselves. Your answer, it will resonate with the emotions of countless Sky Menders. Stay in our memory bank. Global Sky Menders mission. This mission. Please leave a message to share your thoughts. If I could leave something to future generations, what will you leave behind? Every love. They are all ablaze of art, time, and space. If you also hope that these civilizations will not be forgotten, please light up the love. Let more Sky Menders participate in the next piece of art, empty fragment patching tasks. But to let future generations know, in the gears that operate precisely, it also beats the aesthetic desire for the vast starry sky.